Hi, welcome. This is Dr. John DeMartini. This is one of the most amazing and inspiring shows that you can listen into. If you want to be on the edge of your seats, if you want to open up your heart, if you want to expand your mind, and you want to meet incredible people, stay tuned because you're just about to experience a transformative radio show that will change your life. And you're listening to the Dr. Pat Show that's coming up right next.
Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Talk radio to thrive by. Powerful, inspiring, and coming to you live, bringing you stories of people like you and me, busting through and living life full out. Get ready to dare to wonder what your life would be like if you knew you could not fail. Hey, everybody, I want to welcome you. Welcome to the Dr. Pat Show. Welcome to a special presentation, a co-hosting presentation with my friend, Dr. Glenna Rice. And we have a very, very special guest joining us here today as well. Here's what I want to say about today's show topic. You know, for many of us, we have gone out into the world and we have always wondered why. We look around us and we see people that are super, uber successful. And then we take a look and we compare ourselves and we think, oh, man, they have got it going on. They've got some magical potion, something that they're doing that is so like in the top 1%, and that is only for the top 1% of the people. Well, Glenna's shaking her head, right? Say it like, now I know what happens because we're on video. Now I know what happens when I say these things. Now I know how Glenna's response really is to some of the things I say. This is so fun.
I love what you say.
It is, because here's me. I am the kind of person that, you know, my best friend for the first 10 years of my life was the Monkey Bars in the Bronx in New York. That was my friend. And so if you can imagine that your life, the height to what you are going to have in your life is the height of the tallest place you can be on the Monkey Bar. And that is really the box that you think you're in. And then to be sitting here across from Dr. Glenna, Dr. Andrew, who I'll introduce you to in a minute, and having a conversation that has to do with the things in our lives that we can eliminate, what we can bring in, and have the lives of our dreams. Dr. Glenna Rice, regular co-host with me, questionable parent, but questionable conversations is what this is really about. So as a way to introduce all of you to Dr. Glenn or Dr. Andrew, this is what I want to do. Today's topic is amazing in that when we think about these things, you know, when I sit here and I think about 4 things you could do to eliminate limitation for good, most people would say that is like an impossible task. So I want to ask you, Glenna, here you are today. But I would love to know, here's where you were over here. Here's where you are today. Here's where you're going to go. What is it that you've had to eliminate so that you can take the lid off of limitation to get you here today? And then we'll talk about where you want to go. But what did you have to learn? What questions might you have asked yourselves? And how many times did you stumble and fall to get here? And welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me on. Oh, wow. Where I was. So I found Access, 11 years ago now. And I was a mother of 3 kids, kind of crazy. I would say I was an Uber soccer mom, driving. I had a very crazy life, not very happy, kind of angry all the time. And at that point, I was in a workshop and asked a question, what would it take to not be so angry? Wow. It was something I was starting to look at. And literally within a few days, a woman I knew who had been the midwife of my youngest daughter had fallen, hurt her back, so she came to me for physical therapy. This led to her referring another client to me that had hurt his ankle, who was a facilitator of Access. And right away, this anger stuff after my very first class started to change. Like I couldn't hold on to it. And you just said those things we think are impossible. I was starting to think it was impossible for me not to be grumpy and upset with my kids and frustrated by my day. And one of the things that changed is I started to realize that I really, really, really enjoyed a busy, full, crazy life.
Wow.
And it didn't make sense to anyone around me. And it never made sense. So doing all these things with my kids and working in my practice that I just opened up, my new physical therapy practice, having all this going on was actually me, being me. and I was judging it as something that was wrong and that I was too busy. So I started asking a question, what could I add to my life? And I started getting busier and less angry.
Wow. And I love that, Dr. Andrew. We're getting to pipe him in right now because the video did pop on. But, isn't this interesting? We look at our lives and we think we're busy. What, 11 years ago, you think you're busy? And so fast forward, right? It is not really the scenario that you are less busy today, is it?
No,
but something had to change.
Well, the things that I didn't enjoy in my life started going away. One is my marriage ended, which was probably one of the things that was creating a lot of anger. Actually, he was a very stoic man, but he was angry all the time. So that energy left my house, and that changed some of the stuff.
I love that. That happened to me too.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying I loved it when it happened, but I'm look back now and I'm like happy, joyful, and free.
Yeah, it was a huge gift. So the things that didn't work for me, that weren't enjoyable, went away. The things I decided weren't enjoyable that I actually loved, I started to recognize more. And then I started adding things that really brought joy to my life for probably the first time ever I started having joy. Didn't even probably know what it was before then.
Well, let's talk about you for a little bit because, yes, of course, you are an Access Consciousness facilitator, and we're going to talk about some of the really cool things happening in Seattle. But here you are, right? You also have, dancing in your life, right? Children in your life. You also have physical therapy in your life. So I want to give people a flavor of what you mean when we talk about Dr. Glenna Rice and what is the equivalent of busy for you, right?
Well, I kind of have 3 businesses that I run. And my kids, I have 3 children.
So you have 4 businesses.
4 businesses, yes. So I have a physical therapy practice. I travel probably 1 or 2 weeks out of the year all over the world teaching workshops. I have the Conscious Parenting, Conscious Kids classes that I teach, and I'm hosting Access classes also, so I'm adding that in. And new things just keep getting, and I've just worked on some books recently and have some chapters in those, so I'm always adding things in by the lightness they are, the joy they'll create. And I ask a question, if I choose this, what's my future going to look like in 10 years?
Wow.
And if it's bigger, I add it in. And the universe just contributes to all this when you're choosing from what works for you, what's joyful for you, what contributes to more. The universe just backs you up.
I love this. The other thing we forgot to mention, and I just want to get this in real quick is somewhere along the way, you figured out a way to get a doctorate. Okay.
Oh, I did too. So, yeah, that was last year.
Like, I did that last year, because, this was me. But you found a way to do it. And I think that's part of the conversation today that we'll talk about is we use time as an excuse for either not getting something done or being able to get something done. Dr. Andrew, it's so great to have you here. Kind of the same deal, right? Here you are, you're a chiropractor, certified access facilitator. Dr. Andrew Gardella joining us here today as well. You two are going to be pairing up in Seattle. But how about you? This was you over here. Did you have any limitations in kind of getting to be where you are today?
Oh, totally. And I think what got me to Access was I was in chiropractic school and I was trying all these different things because I just felt like I was missing something. I guess that's the best way to describe it. And so I was doing all these seminars and techniques out of class, and I was in class. It's like 20, 25 credit hours each semester or quarter that we were taking. So I was really busy, and I was going on the weekends to these classes, and it felt like something was missing. I wasn't really, I always enjoyed school, and I was starting not to enjoy school. I always enjoyed learning, and I was always curious, and I basically was very bright and enjoyed all the subjects that I took. Even the ones that were really hard for me, I kind of got a satisfaction out of learning how to do them. And when I got to chiropractic school, I was just starting to really get burned out and not have any fun. And I didn't feel like I could actually ask the questions that I wanted to ask in school, or even in the seminars I was going to. I didn't feel like, it always felt like I was hitting this cap, like you were saying, taking the lid off a limitation. Yeah. It always felt like there was this lid being put on me, and I was like, but I don't want a lid. I want to know what else is possible. And so one night I was just like, okay, universe, there has to be something out there, and I don't know where this came from. There has to be something out there that's interested in empowering people, or I'm going to have to create it. And then a short time later, Access showed up, just magically showed up in my life. A couple of people were like, oh, you should check out Access Bars. And I was and I forgot about it. And I didn't really remember until after I was doing Access. Really funny. And then I heard Dr. Dane here on a telesummit. on a radio show, and I was like, oh my God, this is so cool. I have to check this out. And so since then, I've been facilitating classes and taking classes and really having a lot more fun, which is.
Well, yeah, I mean, what I want to ask you about is really interesting the way you describe it, because we talk about these things, don't we? This is for both of you. You know, I know both of you live and breathe this every day, but what I'm really struck by is how the dots get connected. Like, oh, by the way, you know, like I just happened to hear a teleseminar, and then all of a sudden I knew this was for me. Like me, oh, I happened to dial a wrong phone number and not hang up, and within 10 minutes I bought my first hour of airtime, right? You know, really? You just did that? Isn't there, though, what underneath all of this, something that had to be shifting in you for you to be aware enough that you were even getting that insight? What do you think about that?
Do you want to take it, or am I taking it?
One of the things we both did was we asked a question. You know, and what a question does is it opens the doors to possibilities. If it's a question that doesn't have an answer, you could say an open-ended question, but it opens a door so you start to be able to become aware of what will contribute to the question you just asked. And we both asked a question, and access was one of these huge things that would start to contribute to what we were asking to change. And we found it quickly, both of us, I think. And those stories go on and on. People that have done the access work, done classes, I'll often ask them, did you ask a question before you did this? And they look back, they usually can have a place where something was different and they were frustrated by something, or they wanted something to change, and they asked an actual question that opened doors. Not a question that they're looking for an answer, but a question that was like, what else is possible here? Like, what would it take to not be angry anymore? I was actually so curious about that possibility. And the universe went, here you go. Here's a little thing that's going to help you out.
Wow. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to share our questions, because I had not thought about that until you just mentioned it. How many shows have we done? I had not thought about that. You know, did I have a question before I dialed that wrong phone number? I did. I'll share that when we come back. I had not put that together. You know what? It takes me a little longer sometimes to get there, but I do get there. And Dr. Andrew, we're going to hear from you. Let's take a short break, everyone. We'll be right back with the show. Sky Siegel co-hosts one of today's most popular psychic shows, Angels and Answers, with Artie Hoffman, as she communicates healing messages from the spirit world. These messages can be astounding, enlightening, and life-changing. Born with the God-given talent of inner guidance and the amazing ability to heal, Sky has healed thousands of people. Schedule a reading with Sky now. Call 908-500-1474 and visit skyofangels.com.
Tune in to The Truth is Funny with Colette Steffen each Wednesday at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern on TransformationTalkRadio.com. This hit show will have you thinking outside the box and riding the wave of infinite potential. Join Colette on the Higher Self Network, inspiring listeners to shine their brilliance and ensure success while roaring with laughter as they recognize the humor of the giant cosmic joke. Visit thetruthisfunny.com.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. How fun is this? How does it get any better than this, really, for sure? I am so thrilled to have Dr. Glenna Rice joining me here today, Dr. Andrew Gardella joining me here today, and both of them are phenomenal access consciousness facilitators. We've got something exciting that we're going to be sharing with you in a hot second, but, you know, this idea of having a question before the miracle happens is something I had not thought about till today. And, you know, Glenna, you were talking about your question, right, that you had. Andrew, what was yours?
It was really just like there has to be there has to be more than this. There has to be something else out there. And I was looking at something that was interested in it was like, okay, there has to be something out there interested in empowering people. It was kind of a question mark. I was like, it was like an exasperated moment. I remember it. I'm just like, okay, there has to be, or I'm going to create it, or something else. You know, it's just really, and I used to, in undergrad, I did a lot of study on like creative genius and like
Yeah.
these people that invented all these things. And I'm like, because I was always like fascinated. I'm like, okay, what led them to these moments? You know, like what led them to create these miracles or to innovate beyond what was currently there? And it's like, this is like the kind of stuff that they have somewhere in there, you know, either they have these dreams or anything, but they also had this extreme kind of frustration that was actually, you know, pushing them forward in a way.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and so you were asking a series of questions, right? You know, really exploratory, right? So I want to just ask you both. I mean, when you were at that point of questioning, you know, what was your attitude like? Like, were you pretty much ticked off? Were you kind of frustrated? You know, I mean, everybody thinks for the most part that we pop up when we come from this, oh, I'm sitting on the mountain, let me ohm. I don't know about you, but that was not me. Where were you each? Where were you? Where were you, Glenda?
I've never sat back and gone home. I've never sat. Sitting for a long time isn't really one of the things I enjoy. I'd go out to a dance class before I would meditate. I was, like I was saying, I was angry.
Yeah.
I was angry about little things, just more of a frustrated life. It was a frustrated life. It felt like I didn't have time to do any of the things I wanted to do, and everything was behind, and kids were little, and those things, which I've already talked about. So I was kind of at my wit's end. It's like I knew that this anger, and I know so much more about what anger is now after doing Access, was a huge limitation of what was possible for me, and it was keeping me from. I didn't even know what it was keeping me from, but I knew it was stopping me from being what I wanted to be and creating what I wanted to create. Now that wasn't a cognitive awareness.
Yeah.
So I was at my wit's end, like this had to change, and I had no clue how. So when I asked the question, I didn't have a clue, so I didn't have an answer in place. So there was a huge curiosity in the question that allowed me to even be aware of the possibility that was out there.
I love that. How about you, Andrew? Were
Oh,
we
totally.
like
I
happy,
was,
joyful?
no, I was not. I wouldn't say I was depressed because I never really like have done that, but I was definitely really frustrated and I was kind of just not, I usually have a lot of fun, just whatever I'm doing, and I wasn't having any fun. So that was it. And I was thinking, Glenna, it's so funny you were saying you're at your wit's end, and it's like, but and what we talk about in the Access classes is like going beyond your mind, you know. So it's like at your wit's end, possibilities actually begin, because it's like at those moments when you're at your wit's end, you're like, okay, I'll do something different. Okay, I'll try anything. Just please. And it's like these moments that actually allow the universe and allow yourself to move beyond your limitations, you know, to really take the lid off of it. And
Yeah. And so with you though, did you have an intuitive and inquisitive nature generally?
Uh, yeah, I've always been curious about everything. I'm just like, okay, let me read. And that's one of the things that I felt was I was losing when, like, as I was going to these classes and in chiropractic school, I just felt like I was losing my curiosity and that, like, kind of, that the I guess it's almost like this lust for knowledge and like the exploration of it and like the adventure of it, and just like you said, like connecting the dots, like all that stuff would just like I would just be so thrilled with it, and I would have so much fun with like the creative process of it, and I was just losing that. I was like, oh my god, I didn't have words for it at the time. I just, like, you know how you're like, something is not right in my world.
Right. Right. I love this because I didn't really think about this till today. But I was at this place where I was so floundering and I had just finished, 8 years of study, and I had studied Broken Promises for 8 years. I'd written about them. And then I was supposed to go off and get this big job. And no way was I going to go back into corporate America after studying Broken Promises for 8 years, in that environment. That was just not going to happen. And here I was, and I was so crusted over. All I could do was sit on my couch with my remote, like the remote on the TV. And all of a sudden came up with, what would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? Now, this is back in 2001. And that is the question. what Pat and I'm from New York, so it wasn't quite that gentle when I came up with that. Got to put a couple of Italian cuss words in there and stuff, but it was basically, what the bleep would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? And then I said I would bust through the crust. Crust busting was born. Now that may not be an access consciousness question, but it is a question.
Actually, what could you do if you knew you couldn't fail is a bumper sticker that we sell for Access. It's been around. The worldwide coordinator, she sold those bumper stickers from Australia before she found Access. So that was one of the questions that actually led her to Access too. So that is something we use in Access all the time, because it's a really great question. What if you knew you couldn't fail at something? What would you actually choose? Because that's that failing point of view, because your point of view creates your reality.
Yeah.
So if you have a point of view that you can fail, or if you have a point of view that something's impossible, those are huge caps on what you can choose.
Yeah.
Because you just eliminated all these choices in your reality and in your world by saying, I could fail at something.
Yeah.
And, and we also say in Access, there's nothing you've ever failed at that you wanted to do.
We're going to talk about that one right there in a second. But you know what? I don't know if you've ever listened to the intro to the show, and of course, after Demartini, that question in that intro has been with the show for close to 14 years. I took that thing, and that is where I needed to go. Now, I have to tell you, I had no idea I'd be here today. No. See, I thought that this was going to be like a little 1-hour hobby. So I want to ask you this question. How do people get to learn these tools? I have learned a ton, Glenna, from you and from Gary. And, I've learned a ton in a very short period of time. But people want to get going with their lives now. As a matter of fact, here, this is what I brought. I brought a prop. See, because for me, this was me most of my life. This is me. Hey, do you like me? Do you see me with my mask? This was me. And when I got on air, this came off. So tell me a little bit about what you guys are doing. What are you bringing to Seattle, and how people will be able to accelerate their deal? So unlike me, you don't have to take 13 years to get here.
Go for it, Ann.
Oh, yeah. I'm going for it. All right. So in Seattle, I get the masquerade. That's awesome.
Time for Halloween, guys.
Yeah.
Perfect. I don't even have to have a costume. So in Seattle, we're doing the basic core classes, as we call them in Access, which are bars, foundation, and level 1. So it's 5 days altogether, and we call it just 5 days to change your life, because literally it is 5 days in which you can change your entire life. And the reason it's called foundation is because we're looking at what the foundation of what's limiting you. Do you want to talk about bars, Glenna?
Woo, that's the first day of the class. And it's really interesting because just this weekend, Access is about change and changing everything. And what we've been talking about is how much our lives changed after asking a question. So just this weekend, Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, at a class we were at in Houston, changed the name of the core class. It used to be Foundation Level 1. We've taken the levels out of the names, and now it's the Foundation. And the first day of the class, you have the bars, and then a 4-day class, the Foundation, which is, the book hasn't totally changed yet, but the energy around what this class is completely changed. And we're doing it in December, and this will be one of the first times it's going to be taught, maybe in the planet. I'm not sure who's teaching classes in the next couple months, but this will be the first time in Seattle it'll be taught. So the bars is, wow. So much of what limits us is we can't receive. We have walls and barriers and points of views and crazy stuff in our head that keep us from receiving what we were just talking about. You ask that question, and then you receive the information. The bars starts to allow you to receive for often people for the very first time. It's body work. It's done on your head. There's points on your head. We teach you how to touch lightly on the head, and it starts to dissipate thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And it's kind of like you defrag your computer. You get rid of that stuff that doesn't work, and then you have more possibilities to see what's out there available to you of the things you're asking for. But it can change. I don't know, the bars can change your body. It can change points of view. People that smoked stopped smoking after it. People had back pain, it went away. Some people just have peace in a way they've never, ever perceived it before. It's something that I do still all the time. I love to have my bars run. So you learn the technique in a day. You get a gift and receive twice. And then after that, you can start trading with people in your area, because there's I don't know how many people doing access in bars around the world, but almost every city somewhere has people doing this now. You can go to trade, you can get your bars running, you can run them on your family and start creating more ease with your family. I did this with my kids when they were little.
Wow.
When they were cranky, before tests, I would do this. It's just a phenomenal technique, and it's hard to explain because it changes what's going on with you. So there's not a specific thing I can ever say about what it will change with a person, because it starts to change those limitations and caps we were talking about. Do you want to add something about the bars, Andrew?
Yeah,
I'd like to add before we go to break, and then we'll hear from you when we come back.
Okay.
I was going to tell people how to register. Can we tell them the best place to go to register there, Glenna?
My website, glennarice.com, there's a link for it there, or you can go to accessconsciousness.com and find bars classes all over the world through the Access site.
Or you could go to the Dr. Pat Show, and there's a banner right there. I'll take you right to the event, how to register, and more information about Glenna. Or you could go to transformationtalkradio.com. You see a banner right there. Boom.
Infinite possibilities.
It's infinite possibilities. When we come back, we're going to be talking with Andrew and see, how does this feel for you, Andrew? What limitations are you needing to get rid of right now before you show up in Seattle? Let's take a short break, everybody. We'll be right back.
Locked away and we lost it all today. Tell me honestly, would you still love me the same if I showed you my flaws? If I couldn't be strong, tell me honestly.
Holistic Medical Center is where you find it all. A healthy space with doctors who care, see, and listen to the whole you. Hi, this is Dr. Darvish. If you have not found an answer to your chronic symptoms, you will find answers here at Holistic Medical Center. Our doctors find the root cause of your symptoms and guide your body towards healing naturally. We transform lives from within. Visit drdarvish.com or call 425-451-0404.
My dream is to end homelessness.
My passion is living a green life.
My dream is to end poverty.
My passion is volunteering.
My passion is making a difference.
My dream is to cure Lyme disease.
My passion is rebuilding communities.
My passion is helping those in need.
My passion is caring for the elderly.
My dream is to find a cure for cancer.
My dream is to leave a better world for my children.
We all have that special passion, that lifelong dream that drives us to live our lives with meaning and to create a better world. No matter what drives you, we can all make an impact. Dr. Pat Baccili is helping others make their dreams come true, so we can all help make our world a better world.
To learn more about how Dr. Pat is building a community of sharing hope, strength, funds, knowledge, and information, visit abetterworldcrowdfunding.com today. That's abetterworldcrowdfunding.com.
Become a self-actualized professional coach, mentor, and leader, and make your difference in the world. The Rainer Institute has trained people from 4 continents and is the top-rated, accredited coach platform in the world. You'll learn skills from a program created by Mark Rainer as a result of 35 years of research as to what actually works for positive, lasting change. Come if you dare and give your life a chance at making the difference it so desires. Visit RainerInstitute.com to learn more.
Do you want to transform your life's trauma and challenges into the gift that your life was meant to be? It's time for you to take control of your soul journey to heal, grow, and shine. Manifest your destiny with Wendy Wolf, soul transformer, energy, and psychic healer. To start your soul journey, contact Wendy at healgrowshine.com or email Wendy at wendy@wendyrwolf.com and start your adventure today.
How would you like increased health and vitality? How would you like to avoid the onset of disease as well as slow the aging process? This is all possible through a simple, safe, and natural process. Every day we are either moving toward wellness or away from wellness.
Hi, I'm Mary Jane Mack. I'd like to be your partner in achieving optimal health. Contact me now at maryjanemack.com or call 425-392-0659. Visit maryjanemack.com.
Right about now. If I judge for life, man, would you stay by my side? Or is you gonna say goodbye? Can you tell me right now? If I couldn't buy you the fancy things in life, shawty, would it be alright? Come and show me that you do.
Hey, everybody, welcome back. Welcome back. It's so great to have you all here. You know, many times you've heard me talk about Glenna Rice, now Dr. Glenna Rice, which I'm so, so thrilled. I mean, I got to pinch myself some days about, you know, my gosh, Glenna. I mean, when I think about when I go back 15 years, oh my God, like how old was I even? Don't even go there. Okay, I can't go there. But if I go back 15 years and I'm thinking about me sitting on my couch, crusted, I have a character that I drew for crust busting. That was me. And I could not get out of my own way. Never in a million years did I think I would be here. But Andrew, here's my question to you. I had some sense that I was not meant to stay crusted sitting on my couch. Now, I don't know what that is, but how about you, Andrew? How about from your point of view, where you were? Did you ever think that you could craft a plan that would get you to where you are and how you're going to be showing up here to do these workshops, right? You know, I'm just curious, what limitations are you getting rid of right now?
I don't think I could have crafted it. It's been so weird and wacky how it showed up. You know, it's like you said, you like call the wrong number and then all of a sudden you're on a radio show. You're like, you can't really think your way into that one, you know? Well, I don't really know how I could magically call the wrong number and it be the one of a radio show too. So I think with that, it's what you were saying. There's no way you can plan it. And that's what these access classes are really do is get yourself out of your way of like thinking about how you're going to do these things. Because what we see in a lot of these classes too, Glenna, is people like plan their whole life out, but they never actually do anything with it. You know, they have like, well, I can't do that now, or I don't have the time now, or I can't do that. And that's really what a lot of the stuff I even look at now, especially is like everywhere I'm saying I can't, because your point of view creates your reality. So I'm like, oh, I can't do that now, or oh, I have to wait on that. And I'm like, no. Like there's, you know, sometimes there's an awareness of like, okay, you know, now is not the time, but I'm not putting it off. Because I used to put a lot of things off, or I would procrastinate in school. I would like, oh, I have plenty of time to do that. And then, you know, like 5 hours before the test, I'm studying and everything. And I always managed to pull it together. But there's a different level of things you're capable of when you just do things as they come to you, you know? It's like I could wait like all day to do my emails, or I could just handle them as they come along. Or you could wait all week. And that's been an issue for me. Well, it's been like the lids I've been lifting, if you would.
Yes, exactly. You know, I want to ask you both because I'm excited about the class you're doing in Seattle. I mean, I'm just super jazzed about it. There's a sense that I was talking with someone the other day about this, and I think, Glenna, you and I talked about it last time, is I can feel a shift. I mean, I'm telling you, I could feel a shift. And I didn't know that I would have a tool to figure out my next step. So here's what I want to say, and I would love for you to talk about this, because part of what you're teaching people is, and this is my language, it's more than a tool how to take care of a headache. It's a tool for helping people to open up to the possibilities of an epic life. Now, this is my language, so because here's what's happening for us. We were in this really stuck place about a year ago, and it has to do with a lot of things. But without asking a question, what else is possible? Without really taking that pathway that you talk about, I would venture to say we'd be back there. And as a matter of fact, we're getting ready to announce a crowdfunding campaign that is so bold. It honestly, it came to me in the last show, Glenna, that you and I did. Either the last one or the one before. I can't remember. I think it was the one before. And here's what it is. And then I want to jump to you guys about this. We are in a place now, we're on the edge of developing a technology for media that actually doesn't really exist because we don't have a radio head on, right? This is not us. On my business card, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to show you. It's kind of all like, it's like damaged, but I will show you. This is my original crust busting card. See that thing? It's my original crust busting. See that thing? Okay, so I want to turn it over, but I hope I don't show the phone numbers on it. It's a little bent. Okay, so you see that card like that right there? Okay. So what this says is I wanted to reach 1 million people and help them live life full out. This is before the radio show. Here we are now, and we all of a sudden have a new awareness, Glenna, Andrew, I want you to talk about it. New awareness. We are doing a crowdfunding platform called Take Back Talk Radio. That platform, we're going to reach out to the 13,000 people that I've interviewed over 14 years and ask them to partner with us, because the vision is to create a venue of talk radio that is highly visible to the world and doesn't cost people hardly anything, if anything at all. That's a vision. Now, I will tell you that most people around me told me I lost my mind. What do you two think? Am I in the realm of what you've taught me, Glenna?
Well, I hope you lost your mind, because that's the best place to be. That's when you're at your wit's end and you don't have your mind anymore. So something about that feels incredibly exciting and light, and like it is creating a future. And the idea of taking back talk radio with the way that media has changed over the last 10 years is a different concept. I mean, just what we're doing here with having this on video as we're on radio is something new. So what that's going to create is, it feels like it's going to create a future that's bigger than you might imagine right now.
And don't you think, and I want to ask you about the classes you're going to teach, because part of what I want us to talk about is to give people of understanding of what's possible in the realm of creating a life they truly desire without compromise, without negotiating our greater good. You see, we negotiate the world of possibilities, right? So can you both talk about how what you're doing in Seattle here and what you do out, on a regular basis, how it really helps us to really lift the lid off the word possibility. See, because sometimes I think we say it, I know I'm guilty of this, Andrew, where I'll say unlimited possibilities. I don't really mean it. Yeah. You know what that is? Hold on.
Yeah.
Boom, bada bam. This is it. Oh, Glenn, I believe in possibilities. But you got to take it off, don't you?
Yeah. And I think what the coolest thing that I heard you say is it's something that hasn't been done before. Oh. And really drew me to Access and these classes is we're interested in empowering people what they know. So we're empowering them to know what they know that hasn't been done before. Because it's like you listen to these shows and you're like, oh my God, this hasn't been done before. I'm going to do it. I don't care what they say. I don't care if they say I'm crazy. This is something that hasn't been done before that I know is possible. And it's like in these classes, that's really, and that was the same with me. I'm like, I know something else is possible. I don't care if it hasn't been done before. Like there has to be something else out there. Even if no one else has created it, I'm going to do it. And that's so many people's stories that come to these classes and that are really using these tools. They're like, okay, I would like to create something that hasn't been done before. And everyone has like similar stories, wherever, what field they're working in, they want to create something. There's all these innovators. They're like, I know something else is possible. I can take everything I know and combine it and use it and make something else that's new and innovative and expansive, and driving the future creation to a different possibility. And it's just, oh my God, it's just so cool to hear you say that. I just love it when people talk. It's like, boom.
Fired up right now. We got to get fired up right now about this because, honestly, I know you two are very close to what you do. You see the miracles every day, but we are now in the world of possibilities for people that are struggling. And I want to tell you that there is another way out. And Glenn, I would love for you to talk about this right now because here's really what we talk about when we say we take the limits off. I was sitting down with one of the top, let's just call him a psychic, Mark Anthony, right? Sitting down and I'm telling him about this deal. You know what he said to me? I thought, my gosh, he must be taking a class with Glenna. He said to me, and I told him what we were going to do, and I'm going to get into it now. He said, have you ever thought of another possibility? And I thought, what else is possible here? And so the idea he came up with how he and others could participate was a new idea. Please talk to us about what doors open when people come in. And even if you come in the greatest skeptic in the world, like Dr. Hare was, what's possible?
Yeah. Well, there's so many tools, 4 days of tools in this class, 5 days with the bars class and then the 4-day foundation class. There's just there's tools for everyone. We have what we call the 10 Commandments, which was a play on the name, the 10 Commandments, that Gary used years ago. And it was, for a while, it was the 13 Commandments. And he said, never mind, go back to the 10 Commandments. That's funnier. Because we are, it's practical tools, but we aren't very serious about how we present them. So the classes are a lot of fun. But if you come in, and you were just talking about a headache, like if that is your thing that's limiting you, there are tools that can change that. If it's because you want to change the entire world and you're feeling like you're struggling doing it and you have nowhere to look, there's tools that can help you with that. The tools are designed to help everybody with everything that's going on. So people come in, like everybody's different. All over the world, we have people come into these classes with their different limitations, from India to Korea, and there's hundreds of people doing it in Japan now. It's taking off there, and it's a different energy in each one of the places we go, and every person comes in with a different energy that's limiting them, and the tools are so easy and, I'm going to say practical again, that they can start changing all those things. There's just ways to start looking at how your point of view creates your reality and how you can start changing your point of view, how you're way, way, way more psychic than you ever possibly imagined you ever were, and you're picking up all this awareness all the time. And how do you be with that? How do you use all that awareness that you've maybe been going crazy with most of your life to your advantage, so it starts creating more for you, and you can use it to create the things you're asking for? And those are just a couple of the things. It's one of the most amazing, fun classes. I've been teaching this class for years and years and years, and I love every single one of them I get to teach.
Well, I'm going to talk about this when we come back, Andrew. We're going to talk about this from your point of view, because I've been keeping a little cheat sheet, of, here's where we were, right? And then learning some of these tools we're talking about here today, and what has shifted and what has changed. And I want to talk about that when we come back, because when we ask a question, what is the number one, if I could say, mistake that we make in general, not if you're in Access Consciousness, but what is the number one mistake most people make when asking a question? Let's take a short break. We'll be right back.
My dream is to end homelessness.
My passion is living a green life.
My dream is to end poverty.
My passion is volunteering.
My passion is making a difference.
My dream is to cure Lyme disease.
My passion is rebuilding communities.
My passion is helping those in need.
My passion is caring for the elderly.
My dream is to find a cure for cancer.
My dream is to leave a better world for my children.
We all have that special passion, that lifelong dream that drives us to live our lives with meaning and to create a better world. No matter what drives you, we can all make an impact. Dr. Pat Baccili is helping others make their dreams come true, so we can all help make our world a better world.
To learn more about how Dr. Pat is building a community of sharing hope, strength, funds, knowledge, and information, visit abetterworldcrowdfunding.com today. That's abetterworldcrowdfunding.com.
Hey, everybody. It is so great. Welcome back. I've got Dr. Andrew Gardella joining me here today, and Dr. Glenna Rice, both from the team at Access Consciousness. And, of course, you can go to accessconsciousness.com. But we are so excited about what's coming to Seattle. And, by the way, Seattle is not the only place that these folks travel. They travel all over the world, and you'll be able to find out when they're coming to a city near you or your city directly. But Glenna, can you please just fill people in again about the event that you're doing? And also, there's another special event that's happening.
Yes. Oh, there's such a special event. I'm so excited. This one I've been asking for years. So I'm with Andrew, Dr. Andrew, and I will be doing Bars and Foundation, a 5-day workshop in Seattle, December. What's the dates, Andrew? 13th?
4th through the 9th.
4th through the 9th. He knows my schedule really, really well. I'm so grateful for that. And then the amazing, incredible, one of my favorite people in the entire world, Gary Douglas, the founder of Access, is coming to Seattle for the first time ever to do the new class. It was previously known as Access Level 2 and 3. It's now the Choice of Possibilities. 3-day workshop in Seattle, January 16th, 17th, and 18th. First time this class will be occurring in Seattle, but also the first time the new class is going to be happening. I think it's the first one in the world that we get that in Seattle, my favorite city. I grew up there, and I've been wanting him to come and asking for this for quite a few years, and just asked again a few months ago, and they were like, yeah, and the class went up really quickly, and it's changing things everywhere already, and I'm wow. Excited is just mild.
I love it.
Yeah, and the class Andrew and I are doing is a prerequisite for Gary's class. So you have to have completed bars in the foundation class, previously bars foundation level 1, before you can go to the Choice of Possibilities, previously known as Access Level 2 and 3 class. So if you want to find Gary and come and see him, and you're in the Seattle area or anywhere in the world, we've got this class coming up. And you can go to the accessconsciousness.com website to find way more information and other facilitators in your area teaching the core classes that are the prerequisites.
Sweet. And Dr. Andrew, of course, how can people find out more about you?
They can go to andrewgardella.accessconsciousness.com.
All right. So the question is now, the ball's in your court, Dr.
So like you were saying about what's the mistake they make with the asking questions, and it's really they already have an answer before they ask the question, or they're looking for an answer after they ask the question. So they're like, okay, it's like how you said when you put the masquerade thing on, you're like, I'm interested in unlimited possibilities. Totally, yes, but you have this mask on that's actually stopping you from seeing everything that's possible. And it's usually, I like to tell people that they're looking for change instead of something different. You could sit in the chair and turn around the chair. You can look all around the chair, but you're still sitting in the chair, or you can stand up and walk somewhere else. And that's really the difference between asking an open-ended question, like we said, and asking a question looking for an answer. When you're asking a question looking for the answer, you're just sitting in the chair turning around. Like, oh, okay. But when you actually ask, okay, what else is possible here? Like, I don't care what I have going on, whatever, point of view I have, because we were saying point of view creates your reality. What else is possible? Where else can I move? And these are kind of things that open up the possibilities, because all of a sudden you have everything available to you versus everything that you can get in your reach from your chair.
Yeah. You know what I love about this is that the idea of questions, Glenna, is I'm going to ask a question so I can solve a problem, fix something that's broken, and I may or may not get in that place. But that kind of question is not going to get me to a new level of awareness. And I would love for you guys to talk about that, because, if I break my glasses, am I going to, sit here and think, do I want to fix them? Maybe. Or do I want to look at another possibility? Like, wow, do I even want to fix those glasses? That's going to take me 2 hours to try to glue that thing together. So can you talk about that?
Well, when you're coming from the place that something has to be fixed, or that's already a problem, you have a lot of conclusions and fixed points of views in place about what it is, and you're looking for an answer to solve this thing you've decided is a problem. What if it's not a problem is a really great question to start with. Wow, is this actually a problem? My glasses broke. Is this actually a problem? What's so right about my glasses breaking I'm not getting right now? Maybe there's a fabulous new pair of glasses at the store waiting for you to purchase, and you're actually looking at this problem you've decided. Or maybe it's time for surgery to change your eyesight, or who knows what's showing up. Or maybe you actually don't require the glasses the way you thought. Those are all coming from a place of it not being a problem to start with. And what if there are no problems? Just like, you can't fail at anything you like to do. Or what if what would you do if you knew you couldn't fail? What would you do if you knew there wasn't a problem in your life?
Yeah.
Because problems will create, when we come from the point of view about a problem, there's so much limitation about what we can actually see. Because we're focusing on that thing, not what we're actually creating.
But don't we do that, Andrew, about ourselves? See, this has really been, for me, really quite eye-opening. If I look at myself as broken, lacking the ability, not talented enough, need A, B, C, D, not having whatever that thing is. I am so coming from a deficit mentality, right? And I'm trying to fill up a hole. And if I'm working and concentrated to fill up a hole, I don't know how I'm ever going to see another solution that might be right there, or another level of awareness that might be right there, because I'm so focused on filling this hole.
Yeah, totally. And it's like you said, because this is what we're talking about, the difference of you're asking, and when you're in the hole, you can ask a question while you're in the hole, but you're still in the hole. Yeah. But if you're like, okay, I'm not actually in this hole, let me ask a question, then you can change something. Because you've already come to the thing of like, well, I'm in this hole, I'm broken, how do I fix myself? Versus the awareness of like, okay, what if I wasn't broken? One, okay, now we can move out of the hole. And then we can ask you a question. And that's kind of what we're doing in these classes. It's like, okay, let's step one, let's get you out of where you think you are so we can see where you actually are. It's like, when you said, you're like, I'm not actually at a deficit, but if I pretend like I am, I can't seem to go anywhere, because your point of view creates your reality. You have the point of view you're a deficit. That's what's creating everything. And if we can change that, then we can get you moving. But until we change what's actually your point of view, we can't really go anywhere, because you're so amazingly powerful that the only one that can stop you is you. And the only one that can get you moving is you.
Yeah. And haven't you just done this at Access Consciousness, right? I mean, here you have something that is completely across the world, and somebody must have asked a question, right, to facilitate this change. I mean, didn't somebody have to do that?
The change in the classes that I was just talking about? Yeah. I believe it was... Well, it's all been happening the last couple of weeks, and the craziness of just yesterday creating the changes with the class and the graphics and everything we've done was really, really an interesting and fabulously fun, creative day. Gary's been teaching it as a 4-day class for so many years, and in the last few classes, the 4th day felt like it was over. There was just, people were having conversations. It wasn't like everything that the class changes and that's available to change had already occurred, and the 4th day was completely not really working. It wasn't really working. So he went to lunch, had a conversation with his team, and asked questions about what's this energy? What is it about the 4th day that's now so different? What's going on here? And they got, well, wow, did the class just change into a 3-day class? Mm-hmm. This is after this class being a 4-day class for, 15 years, maybe longer than that.
Yeah.
And that felt like light. That opened possibilities. Is this a 3-day class? Like, yes or no? Did it just change? And then the class we were in this weekend, on the 4th day, he said, at lunchtime, we'll let you know if this is going to be one of the last 4-day classes. And it did change. And it was really exciting. You could feel that it started popping things open everywhere.
Wow. I mean, but that is, and don't we also have a tendency to get stuck? What we've heard for years and years and years, right? We've heard for years and years, oh, don't change a winning game. But wait a minute, you have to have a level of...
No, and we always talk about if it isn't broken, don't fix it,
Right.
Exactly. And this class wasn't broken. It just, there was a totally different energy showed up that because we have lots of caps off in Access, we can perceive this energy and ask a question about what that is, and that can start talking to us and showing us what else is possible.
Yeah. Wow. Thank you guys for today. And again, we'll make sure folks know a ton about what's coming. One last question for each of you. What is your personal message? What would you like to leave us with?
I think I just want to let people know that these classes are so cool. I know we talk about it and the conversation gets so heady, but I remember going to my first one and I just had this excitement that I couldn't really explain about it. If I would have thought about it, I probably would have talked myself out of it. And I got to this class and I just sit down and, we ask these questions, we do these clearings and everything. And all of a sudden the room starts spinning and like the colors, like it's like the lights go on and off. And I'm like, oh my God, what just went on there? And then they do it again. I'm like, this is so cool. I don't know what's going on, but there's something happening,
Yeah.
And I think it's just acknowledge what you're aware of. Like you said, you knew you were meant for something different. You knew you weren't going to sit and get crusted. Like you didn't know how you were going to do it, but you're like, there's something else. And I think for everyone out there, they just have to acknowledge that. And I think that's a huge step to creating whatever you desire.
Wow. Thank you. Glenna, how about you?
Well, choice creates awareness and choice creates possibilities. So what would you like to choose that could change anything you're asking to change? What question have you not asked that you could ask that could change anything?
I love it. Dr. Glenna Rice, Dr. Andrew Gardella. And by the way, when you guys come, it is going to be so great to have you here. Lots of information. Thank you guys for a fabulous, fabulous conversation. And you know how we end the show? What else is possible here? We'll see you next time.